Stop right now. Take a deep breath. Let go of everything you believe you know about your life, the world, God, success, failure. Even forget who you think you are, because at this very moment, everything that defines you might be a lie built by an invisible pattern inside your mind. What if the universe weren't out there? What if it were all along, waiting for a command only you can issue? What if, instead of seeking answers outside yourself, you began looking inward with the seriousness of someone who knows they're shaping every detail of their own existence? Today, you won't hear a pretty story. You'll receive a key, and what you do with it will determine what the world returns to you from now on. Comment below to seal this moment. I take control of my reality. Because this video might be the turning point you didn't even know you were waiting for. Jacobo Grinberg wasn't just a scientist. He was one of the few who dared to break the boundaries between neuroscience, spirituality, and the hidden power of consciousness. While the world studied the brain as a machine, Grinberg investigated what no microscope could see, the invisible field where reality is forged. He called it the neuronal field, a vibrational fabric in which thoughts, emotions, and beliefs interact with the structure of the universe, creating what we call life. His theory, though ignored by mainstream science, is today supported by discoveries in quantum physics, like energy entanglement and the holographic nature of perception. More than that, it explains why so many people remain trapped in repeating patterns, even when they do everything they can to change. Grinberg left us the map, but few knew how to use it. This is where names like Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, and Greg Braden converge, each speaking their own language, to affirm the same principle. You don't observe reality, you create it. This video is a portal for those ready to break free from mental autopilot and finally access the true source of power, consciousness directed as a creative force. You live inside a theater. Every object around you, every sensation you experience, every thought you call yours is part of a set created by an invisible force called the mind. Jacobo Grinberg, a Mexican neuroscientist who mysteriously disappeared in 1994, dedicated his life to understanding this phenomenon. What he discovered is so powerful that official science practically silenced it. Reality isn't something fixed, out there. It's a continuous projection of your internal mental structure. Grinberg named it the neuronal field. Unlike the biological brain, this field isn't made of flesh, but of vibrational information. In it, our beliefs, memories, and emotional patterns act as filters, shaping what we perceive as the outside world. In other words, you don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. What makes this revolutionary is that if your reality is a reflection, then by changing the source, the field, the reflection changes. But few understand this, which is why they keep trying to change the external world without ever touching the root of creation. Imagine you've worn red-tinted glasses since birth. Everything looks red, and you believe the world is red. Grinberg tells us, the lens is your mind. Until you reconfigure it, you will keep recreating the same cycles, encountering the same limitations, facing the same blockages. How is this field formed? Through emotional, cultural, and linguistic repetitions. The child who hears that money is dirty, that success is for the few, that God punishes, or that it's wrong to desire too much, absorbs all of that as absolute truth. Their field organizes itself to project exactly that kind of world. The illusion of reality is born from the programming of perception. But there's something even deeper. This field isn't isolated. It connects to a universal field, a kind of collective matrix that responds to individual vibrations. It's as if your mind were a broadcasting and receiving station, emitting signals all the time, and life returns to you exactly what you transmit, not what you superficially wish for, but what you vibrate deeply. That's why so many positive affirmations fail. They're spoken by a mouth that desires, but not upheld by a body that believes. The unconscious mind continues to vibrate scarcity, fear, self-sabotage, and the field responds mercilessly. Jacobo Grinberg broke this barrier. He proved that the world is plastic, moldable, and that the power to transform it lies within you, not as a spiritual metaphor, but as a real mechanism of the human mind. This is the foundation of awakening, realizing you're not trapped by reality. You're projecting it. Imagine there's a moment every day when your reality code can be rewritten, a subtle instant, almost always unnoticed, where the boundaries between what you believe and what you live dissolve. This moment exists, and it's called the hypnagogic state. Grinberg understood that the human mind accesses different frequencies of consciousness throughout the day, and that the moment just before sleep is one of the most powerful to alter reality's structure. As the body relaxes, the brain reduces beta wave activity associated with logic and control, and plunges into alpha and theta waves, the same ones that dominate a child's mind in their early years, when everything is absorbed without resistance. In this state, the unconscious is most receptive. It's there that your mind stops resisting and begins to accept. Everything you think, feel, or visualize in this phase is absorbed as a direct command to the neuronal field, becoming a vibrational mold that will project itself into your next day and gradually into your entire life. What do most people do at that moment? They recall problems, relive arguments, fear the future, or simply distract themselves with anxious, empty content. They sow the fertile ground of the mind with seeds of doubt, scarcity, and confusion. And the next day they reap exactly that, without understanding why. But when you grasp the power of that moment, it becomes a portal, a point of deep reprogramming. If, when lying down, you enter conscious relaxation and begin repeating a powerful affirmation like, "Everything in my life aligns with my growth. I trust, I receive," while visualizing yourself as someone whole, strong, confident, loved, prosperous, you're not just fantasizing. You're rewriting the instructions of your perceptual field. This process is not superstition. Science already recognizes the reticular activation system, RAS, which filters what you perceive in the world based on your dominant beliefs. In other words, what you deeply believe determines what your brain records as real. The hypnagogic state is the key that allows you to install new beliefs without rational resistance. It's like entering the control room of your mind before it closes the doors. If you enter there with awareness, you can reorganize the dials that define who you will be when you wake. But here's the catch. You can't just repeat phrases mechanically. You must feel them, visualize them clearly, enter the scene as if it were already real. The more emotion, the stronger the imprint in the field. Grinberg said, "Consciousness creates the parameters of experience." Oh, if you fall asleep vibrating fear, your day will align with fear. But if you sleep carrying the vivid image of a new version of yourself, the field begins to reorganize the world around you to reflect that change. The question is, what have you been programming every night? And what are you willing to reprogram from today on? The idea of being the center of the universe may sound arrogant, even childish. But from Jacobo Grinberg's perspective, that phrase is neither vain nor mystical. It's scientific and spiritual at the same time. Because the universe you live, experience, and interpret is not universal. It's personal. Each human being lives in a unique field of perception, where everything that exists is what their consciousness can decode. This means that the world out there only exists as you see, feel, and believe it to be. You don't see things as they are, but as you are. Your self-perception, what you believe about yourself, functions as the epicenter of a holographic reality. If you see yourself as limited, fragile, unlucky, or unworthy, the universe adjusts to confirm that identity. On the other hand, if you recognize yourself as abundant, capable, loved, worthy, the world responds accordingly. The key is to understand that reality doesn't respond to your superficial desires, but to the identity you sustain unconsciously. You may wish for success, but if deep down you carry the image of someone unworthy, someone who fails, someone invisible, the field Grinberg described doesn't respond to the wish. It responds to the vibration of your being. It's like an antenna. Your mind transmits a frequency, and the universe, as a mirror, returns events, people, and opportunities that correspond exactly to that emission. And that frequency originates in how you see yourself. It's not about self-esteem in the popular sense. It's about the vibrational structure of your internal identity, who you believe you are, and who you accept yourself to remain night after night without questioning. Grinberg said the neuronal field is plastic, that is, it can be shaped. But the main mold is your self-image. And that image isn't created by words or good intentions. It's formed by deep emotional repetitions. Everything you felt repeatedly and intensely, rejection, abandonment, guilt, failure, becomes an impression in the field. And the universe learns to respond to you based on that. Awakening begins the moment you ask yourself, what if everything that limits me is programming I can reframe? From that instant on, you stop being a hostage to events and become a conscious co-creator. You stop waiting for the world to change, and you start changing what the world is responding to. Yourself. Being the center of the universe isn't about control. It's about vibrational responsibility. It's understanding that the world is what you are, and if you change, everything changes. And then perhaps for the first time, you'll see yourself with new eyes. Not as someone seeking power, but as the very generator of reality that's always been in the mirror, waiting for you to recognize yourself. The reality you live doesn't change with effort, it changes with frequency. This is one of the fundamental laws of consciousness, according to Jacobo Grinberg. Your vibration, what you feel, believe, and sustain in silence, is the material with which the universe builds what you call life. But there's a moment every day when that vibration can be rewritten, the instant before sleep. There, between wakefulness and slumber, the veil between the conscious and unconscious thins, and it's there that the portal of change is born. Grinberg and other scholars like Neville Goddard called this moment the creation window. And to access this portal in a practical, profound way, the 7-day technique was born, a nightly ritual that unites neuroscience, spirituality, and conscious vibration. Step 1. Prepare the space, the frequency temple. You don't enter a sacred temple yelling or distracted. Likewise, you don't connect to the universal field carrying mental noise. Preparing the external environment is an act of respect for what's about to be invoked. Turn off bright lights. Put your phone away. Breathe slowly. This isn't about comfort. It's about entering a receptive vibrational state. This space must signal to your body, now it's safe to release control. The unconscious only allows reprogramming when the nervous system enters a parasympathetic state, i.e., when it's relaxed. The slower you go, the deeper the access. Step 2. Choose your affirmation, the soul's command. A well-chosen phrase isn't just a suggestion, it's a vibrational decree. But for it to work, it must be specific, emotional, and true to your spirit. Examples: I become the space where the divine manifests freely. My life is an extension of cosmic intelligence and sacred abundance. I am the frequency that realigns everything around me with purpose and beauty. This phrase will be the vibrational code your mind repeats until it accepts it as structure. The more soul it carries, the stronger its impact on the field. Step 3. Active visualization, the universe's language. Visualizing isn't imagining, it's living in advance. The unconscious doesn't distinguish real from symbolic. It responds to the emotion you project. Therefore, you must create scenes with all your senses. The scent of the environment, the sound of your laughter, the texture of what you touch, the warmth you feel. The scene needs 3 elements: connection, expansion, and emotion. See yourself connecting with people who value you, expanding your life toward your purpose, feeling pride, lightness, certainty. This generates a coherent electromagnetic field between heart and brain, and that is what communicates with universal intelligence. Step 4. Feel until you fall asleep, slumbering within the new reality. Here's the secret that separates wishers from transformers. You must maintain the emotion until sleep takes you. The hypnagogic state is like a direct channel to the core of reality. If you sleep vibrating fear, the field responds with lack. But if you sleep vibrating a new identity, the field reorganizes everything around you to confirm this new vibration. Spiritually, this moment is total surrender, the ego's abandonment and real faith's birth. It's not about control. It's about releasing with confidence, knowing the invisible is already moving. Step 5. Morning reinforcement, anchoring in the physical world. When you wake, before you even check your phone, return to your phrase. Recall your visualization. Morning reflects the previous night. This anchors your vibration in the physical world and tells your mind, this is my new baseline. Even if challenges arise, your internal structure will remain connected to something much greater. That's the point. You're not just creating a new reality, you're tuning into the part of the universe that already vibrates with it. Creation isn't forced, it's revealed when frequency aligns. Why 7 days? Because 7 is the number of transition, of integration between the visible and the invisible. Spiritually, it represents the days of creation, the chakras, the layers of the energetic body. Psychologically, it's the minimum time for the brain to form new synapses if emotion is involved. 7 days with true intention suffice to open a new reality line. What will happen? Synchronicities, intuitions, subtle shifts in your gaze, unexpected answers. Above all, you'll begin to feel the world responding differently because you now vibrate differently. Now let me explain one of the most important things about manifestation and personal development, the physics of as if and the alchemy of identity. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you accept yourself to be. This is one of the subtlest, most powerful laws in the consciousness field. Jacobo Grinberg, studying the mental patterns that shape reality, identified that the identity you sustain invisibly is the central mold of the universe you experience. That's why the key isn't seeking what's missing, but living as if you already are who you want to be. This isn't fantasy, it's vibrational realignment. Quantum physics has shown reality isn't a straight line, but a field of infinite possibilities that collapse according to observation and intention. When you act in the world as if you're already prosperous, already confident, already loved, you tune into the reality line where that identity is natural, and everything begins reorganizing to confirm that frequency. Spiritually, this is called embodying the vibration before manifestation. It's you saying to the universe, I trust so deeply in who I am that I act like I already am. By doing so, you stop vibrating lack, doubt, and waiting, and enter the field of certainty, surrender, and living creation. How does this apply daily? The physics of as if. Neuroimaging studies prove that when you mentally simulate an action with real emotion, the same brain areas activate as if you were really doing it. In other words, your brain accepts the simulation as fact. When you repeat this pattern frequently, it begins guiding your actions, perceptions, and even automatic decisions, shaping how you present yourself to the world. This principle explains why changing how you behave now directly affects what the world returns. If you start acting like someone who believes in their own worth, your posture changes, your gaze changes, your voice changes, and the world responds. The alchemy of identity. Being that precedes having in the spiritual field, this practice is seen as internal alchemy. It's the moment you stop asking reality for permission to feel worthy and start offering reality your new frequency as a starting point. And that changes everything. The question you need to ask yourself daily isn't, what do I want to achieve? But who do I need to be today to align with that reality? That being isn't a performance. It's a silent commitment to your highest truth. It's living with actions, choices, and attitudes that reflect the field you wish to inhabit, even if the external world hasn't caught up yet. Because the external world is slow, it responds to the internal world with delay. But it always responds. And when you keep vibrating as if you already are, the universe has no choice but to rearrange events to match who you've decided to be. This is the real miracle. When you live as if you already are, you begin to be. And when you begin to be, the world begins to transform. Your daily vibration isn't defined by grand events, but by the small, invisible rituals that repeat silently. While many wait for an external change to feel better, what truly transforms reality is internal vibrational consistency. Jacobo Grinberg understood that the neuronal field communicates continuously with the whole, and that every thought, emotion, and daily choice contributes to building each individual's perceptual universe. Reality, therefore, doesn't change from the outside in. It changes from the inside out and responds only to the frequency you live, not the one you wish for. Everything begins upon waking. In the first moments of the morning, the mind is still open, vulnerable, between the remnants of the dream world and the return to rationality. This moment is sacred. Instead of opening your eyes and immediately connecting to worries, this can be the instant to align with your essence. Breathe consciously, place your hand on your heart, and silently affirm a vibrational truth, like, "I am the presence that transforms everything around me." Ooh, this simple gesture sends a clear message to the field. Today, reality will yield to consciousness, not chance. Throughout the day, breath becomes a thermometer of the soul. When you breathe shallowly, the body interprets alertness, triggering defense, fear, and scarcity patterns. But by pausing, closing your eyes for a moment, and inhaling deeply, you break conditioned mental automatisms. This simple act repositions you in the present moment and reopens the alignment channel with cosmic intelligence. Conscious breathing reminds you that you are not lost in chaos, but centered in creation. During routine breaks, brief reconnection moments can be practiced. You don't need long meditations. Just close your eyes for a few seconds and visualize a powerful image. You living your truth, receiving good news, walking confidently, being recognized, vibrating gratitude. These images are energetic seeds. Each brief but felt visualization acts like a pulse, informing the universe which reality line is chosen. And the more pulses you emit, the more solid your new vibrational identity becomes. What you consume also matters. Everything that enters through your senses is energetic food. When you watch something vibrating fear, doubt, or scarcity, you allow your field to be contaminated by dissonant patterns. That's why monitoring your content intake is vibrational hygiene. Seeking messages that uplift, restore your power, nourish your trust in the invisible. That isn't naive optimism, it's spiritual responsibility. At day's end, when the lights go out and the body begins to rest, the vibration you carry into sleep seals what will be emitted the next day. In this moment, it's not enough to just give thanks for what was lived. You must give thanks for what's already being built energetically. Anticipatory gratitude is living faith. By saying, "I'm grateful for who I'm becoming," you not only project hope, but forge an alliance with the universal field that responds precisely to your being's vibration. Elevating daily frequency is not a sporadic effort. It's a way of living. It's understanding that every small gesture, every choice of thought, every silence, every breath is a brick in the temple of your new reality. When that frequency stabilizes, the world has no choice. It begins reorganizing around who you truly are, not because you shouted, but because you vibrated with presence. Now that you know the power within you, the next step isn't to seek more information. It's to decide. Decide that you will no longer wait for the world to change before you transform. Decide that from today on, you commit to your frequency, your presence, your truth. You don't need to understand everything to begin. You just need to begin. The universe doesn't respond to timid wishes, but to vibrant decisions, and at this very moment, it's listening to your vibration. What is it saying? That you're ready, or that you still doubt? That you trust, or that you wait for permission? That you assume your power, or that you still seek justifications not to move? The field responds precisely to your dominant vibration. So practice. Revisit the techniques. Return to this content whenever you need to realign your mind, and more than that, share. Teach what you've learned, because when you raise your own frequency, you illuminate the field of everyone around you. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and comment below. My vibration creates my reality. This is the energy password that activates your new cycle. The journey has begun. Now the universe is listening.